I have no idea where this came from.
It belongs to the company, and you know it.
The room fell completely silent as a sleek silver briefcase landed on the polished conference table. Inside sat stacks of cash and a contract worth $1 million. Every executive stared at the woman standing beside it. Victoria Sinclair, the youngest billionaire CEO in the city, looked directly at the only man in the room who wasn't wearing an expensive suit. Marcus Reed, a hard-working black single dad in a faded maintenance uniform, had only come upstairs to repair a broken ceiling light. He tightened his grip on his toolbox while everyone waited for his answer. Victoria spoke calmly, but her eyes carried a sadness no amount of money could hide. "Marry me for 1 year, Marcus. $1 million. No questions." Gasps filled the room. Marcus looked at the contract, then at the little photo of his 8-year-old daughter Lily tucked inside his wallet. He slowly closed the briefcase, pushed it back toward the billionaire, and quietly said, "My daughter taught me that some promises are worth more than money." Nobody expected those words. The executives whispered in disbelief, and Victoria's confident expression faded for the first time in years. Only a few hours earlier, Marcus's life had been far from glamorous. Every morning before sunrise, he packed Lily's school lunch, braided her curly hair the best he could, and walked her to the neighborhood bus stop before heading to work. Since losing his wife to a sudden illness 4 years earlier, every decision he made revolved around giving Lily a happy childhood despite their modest life. They lived in a tiny apartment with peeling paint, but laughter always echoed through its small rooms. Lily often reminded him, "We're rich because we have each other." Those words carried Marcus through every difficult day. At Sinclair Global headquarters, Marcus was known as the quiet maintenance worker who fixed problems without expecting praise. Few people noticed him, except for an elegant woman who often passed through the halls wearing simple business clothes instead of designer suits. She always smiled, thanked him, and sometimes asked about Lily after overhearing one of their phone calls. Marcus assumed she was just another department manager. He had no idea she owned the entire company. That same afternoon, Victoria watched Marcus from the glass wall of her private office as he patiently repaired a broken toy belonging to the receptionist's little son instead of throwing it away. A gentle smile appeared on her face. She finally whispered to herself, "I found him." But why would one of the world's most powerful women offer a complete stranger $1 million to become her husband? The answer would change both of their lives forever. Marcus couldn't stop thinking about the strange proposal. The next morning, he arrived at Sinclair Global before sunrise, hoping to avoid the whispers spreading through the building. Instead, his supervisor handed him a note. "The CEO wants to see you again." Marcus sighed quietly. "I already gave her my answer." His supervisor shrugged. "She said it wasn't a request." A few minutes later, Marcus stepped into Victoria Sinclair's private office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but Victoria wasn't sitting behind her massive desk. She was standing by the coffee machine, pouring 2 cups. "Good morning, Marcus," she said with a warm smile. "Cream or black?" He looked surprised. "Black is fine." She handed him a cup and motioned toward a small sitting area instead of the formal conference table. I don't want to talk like a CEO today. I just want to talk. Marcus remained cautious. Then tell me why me. Victoria stared at the steam rising from her coffee before answering. My grandfather built this company with honesty. After he passed away, people around me stopped seeing me as a person. They only saw my money. Every man I've dated wanted my fortune, my name, or my influence. She paused. Yesterday, you pushed away $1 million without hesitation. Marcus smiled faintly. I pushed away the contract, not you. For the first time in years, Victoria laughed. It was soft, genuine, and completely unexpected. Over the following week, she found reasons to cross paths with Marcus. Sometimes she visited the maintenance department with simple questions. Other times she joined employees in the cafeteria instead of eating alone in her executive dining room. Marcus never treated her differently. One rainy afternoon, Victoria noticed him rushing outside after work. Need a ride? She asked. I'm picking up Lily. I'll drive. Marcus hesitated but agreed. When they arrived at the elementary school, Lily ran into her father's arms with a bright smile before noticing the elegant woman beside him. Daddy, is she your friend? Marcus chuckled awkwardly. I think so. Victoria knelt to Lily's height. I've heard so much about you. Lily smiled. Daddy says kind people are rare. Those innocent words touched Victoria more deeply than any business award ever had. Instead of heading home immediately, the three stopped at a small neighborhood ice cream shop. They laughed over melting cones, shared silly stories, and for the first time in years, Victoria felt like an ordinary woman instead of a billionaire. But across the street, someone watched from inside a black luxury SUV. Nathan Brooks, Sinclair Global's ambitious chief financial officer, lowered his camera after taking several photographs of Marcus, Victoria, and Lily together. A slow smile spread across his face. So, he whispered, the CEO finally has a weakness. He started the engine, already planning how to use that secret against them. The following Monday, the atmosphere inside Sinclair Global felt different. Employees stopped talking whenever Marcus walked past. Conversations ended in whispers, and people stared as if he no longer belonged. Marcus tried to ignore the gossip and focused on replacing broken lights and repairing office equipment, but the uneasy feeling followed him through every hallway. Inside the executive boardroom, Nathan Brooks laid several photographs across the polished table. Each one showed Victoria laughing with Marcus and Lily outside the ice cream shop. He looked around the room with fake concern. Our CEO is risking the company's reputation for a maintenance worker, he said. If investors believe she's making emotional decisions, our stock could collapse. Several board members exchanged nervous glances. Nathan continued, this man appeared out of nowhere. We know almost nothing about him. What if he's using his daughter to gain Victoria's trust? The room fell silent. Although no one had evidence against Marcus, doubt began to spread. Later that afternoon, Marcus was called into the Human Resources office. We've received complaints, the director said carefully. Until the board finishes its review, you're being placed on unpaid suspension." Marcus stared in disbelief. "I've done nothing wrong." "I'm sorry," she replied. "This decision came from above." Marcus left the building carrying only his old toolbox. Through the lobby's glass doors, he could see employees watching him leave. Some looked embarrassed. Others looked satisfied. That evening, Victoria discovered what had happened. Furious, she stormed into the boardroom where Nathan sat reviewing financial reports. "You suspended an innocent man without telling me." Nathan didn't even look up. "I protected this company." "You abused your authority." "I protected you," he answered coldly. "You're a billionaire CEO. Falling for a maintenance worker makes you look weak." Victoria's voice grew firm. "You know nothing about strength." Nathan leaned back in his chair. "I know exactly what people will think if they learn you're spending time with him and his daughter." For a brief moment, Victoria realized something terrifying. Nathan wasn't trying to protect the company. He was trying to control her. Meanwhile, Marcus returned home and found Lily sitting quietly by the window. "Did you lose your job, Daddy?" she asked softly. Marcus forced a smile. "Maybe for a little while." Lily reached into her piggy bank and poured a handful of coins onto the kitchen table. "I've been saving these for a bicycle," she whispered. "But we can use them to pay the bills." Marcus felt tears fill his eyes. He hugged his daughter tightly, silently promising he would never let her carry the weight of adult problems. At that same moment, Victoria opened a locked drawer in her office and removed a yellowed envelope left behind by her late father. She read the first line, and her face turned pale. The letter revealed a secret that changed everything she believed about Marcus, and she knew she had to find him before Nathan did. Victoria drove through the city before sunrise, clutching the old envelope with both hands. She barely noticed the traffic. The words inside the letter echoed in her mind again and again. It had been written by her late father nearly 10 years earlier, with one simple instruction: "If you ever lose your way, find the man who once saved my life. His name is Marcus Reed." She finally reached Marcus's apartment building just as he was leaving to look for temporary work. His toolbox rested on one shoulder, and Lily stood beside him wearing her backpack. "Victoria?" Marcus asked in surprise. "What are you doing here?" Instead of answering, she handed him the letter. Marcus slowly unfolded the faded paper. As he read it, memories came rushing back. Years earlier, before becoming a single father, Marcus had served as an army medic. One rainy night, he had rescued an injured businessman trapped inside a burning vehicle after a highway accident. The man had begged Marcus not to wait for the ambulance because the car was about to explode. Marcus carried him to safety without even asking his name. That businessman had been Victoria's father. "I never knew who he was," Marcus whispered. "He never forgot you," Victoria replied. "He spent years trying to find the soldier who saved him, but by the time he learned your name, you had already left the military and moved away." Marcus lowered the letter, overwhelmed. "So, this isn't why you offered me the contract?" Victoria shook her head. "No. I chose you because of the man you are today. The letter only proved my heart had been right all along. Before Marcus could respond, 3 black SUVs pulled into the parking lot. Nathan stepped out with several board members and security officers. He smiled confidently. I thought I'd find you here. Victoria faced him. What do you want? Nathan held up another folder. I've convinced the board to remove you as CEO. They believe your judgment has been compromised. The board members looked uncertain until Victoria calmly raised the letter. My father named Marcus Reed in his personal succession documents, she said. Anyone attacking his character is attacking the values this company was built on. Nathan laughed. A letter changes nothing. It does, another voice interrupted. The company's oldest board member stepped forward after reading the document. It also includes your father's final instruction, he said, staring directly at Nathan. Any executive found manipulating the board for personal gain must be removed immediately. The room became silent. Nathan's confident smile disappeared as security walked toward him. For the first time, he realized the game he had carefully planned was over, but Marcus still hadn't answered the question Victoria asked the day before. Would he ever agree to become her husband? Nathan was escorted out of Sinclair Global in front of the same employees he had once controlled. The rumors ended as quickly as they had begun. Within hours, the board officially apologized to Marcus and offered him his job back with a promotion to Director of Facilities. They also thanked him for the courage and integrity that had protected the company's legacy long before anyone knew his name. Marcus accepted the apology, but he wasn't interested in titles or a larger office. What mattered most to him was returning home each evening to Lily. A week later, Victoria asked Marcus to meet her on the rooftop garden where they had first spoken honestly. There were no executives, no lawyers, and no cameras. Only 2 chairs, a small table, and the city glowing beneath the evening sky. Victoria smiled nervously. I owe you another proposal. Marcus laughed. I was wondering when that would happen. She placed the old contract on the table, then slowly tore it into tiny pieces. The $1 million offer disappeared into the breeze. I don't want to buy a husband, she said quietly. I want to earn a partner. Marcus looked into her eyes and saw no billionaire CEO, only a woman who had spent years searching for someone she could trust. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded piece of paper. It isn't a contract, he said. It's a promise. Victoria unfolded it and read the handwritten words. If we're going to build a family, it won't be because of money. It'll be because we choose each other every single day. Tears filled her eyes. So, is that a yes? Marcus smiled. Yes. But only if Lily gets the final vote. The next afternoon, they surprised Lily with a picnic in the same park where she loved feeding ducks. Victoria knelt beside her. I have something important to ask. Would it be okay if I became part of your family? Lily looked at her father, then hugged Victoria tightly. I've been hoping you'd ask. A few months later, friends and employees gathered for a simple outdoor wedding. There were no extravagant decorations, no headlines, and no business speeches. Just laughter, happy tears, and a little girl proudly walking between her father and the woman who had found love where she least expected it. As the sun set, Marcus remembered the briefcase filled with $1 million. He smiled because the greatest decision of his life had been saying no to the money and yes to the person behind the offer. Sometimes the richest life isn't built with wealth. It's built with honesty, trust, and the courage to love again. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.